Hello you guys, and welcome to Mr. and Mrs. Social Studies. My name is Sarah, and today I'm really excited to talk all about the book Teach Like a Pirate by Dave Burgess. So I will admit, I got this book about a year ago from my school district and really didn't read too much, but that was such a shame because now I have fully read it and it was such a great book to read, especially prior to the start of the school year or towards the beginning of the year as you're thinking about maybe new changes you want to make. So in today's video, I'm going to be talking about this book, some of my key takeaways, give you some examples of some of the different hooks that are in the book, and not only that, but I am going to be giving away my copy. Just pay it forward. So if you're interested with that, I'll let you know how you can win this at the end of the video. So, Teach Like a Pirate. What are some of the main takeaways here? I think before we get too far into it, we just need to even address the subtitle here, which is a really great job of capturing what this is all about. It says, increase student engagement, boost your creativity, and transform your life as an educator. And honestly, I think it does a great job. I know sometimes we read books like education-related books or whatever it is, and it gives a lot of good theory, but maybe not as many practical examples of how you can actually implement it and make changes. This is not one of those books. It actually does a really great job breaking down very specific things that you can do and specific questions to ask yourself when you're planning to make your lessons more engaging. You know, it's very easy here, bullet point form. It makes it very simple to incorporate these different strategies in your classroom. And I'm going to talk about some of my favorite hooks today. One analogy that Dave Burgess makes that I really like, he talks about thinking about teaching as sort of like cooking. We have, of course, different standards and different expectations that we are, expected to teach and do teach. But in life, if we were cooking something, we wouldn't just take, his example was like a piece of raw meat, and you wouldn't just hand that to a student and say, eat it. Because guess what? Does that student want to eat it? No, it's disgusting. I mean, I'm a vegan, so I wouldn't want the meat anyway, but it's raw meat. It doesn't have any flavor. It doesn't have any seasoning, that extra, care that was put into it to cook it. None of that's there. And so if we are just saying that with our content, like, here, eat it, learn it. This is what it is. And don't really put that extra care and love and excitement and passion into it, then it's not going to make as much of a difference. In life, if we're cooking something, really where the magic happens is not just from the plain ingredient by itself, but how you mix the ingredients together, seasoning it, flavoring it, grilling it, baking it, cooking it, whatever the method is that it's cooked, that's all what goes into making that particular meal. So the same policy applies when teaching and trying to make your teaching more exciting. And I think one thing that I like about this too is that he's coming from a place where he wants you to succeed and is never like expecting perfection. He's actually very clear about it, not trying to make it perfect. In life, in teaching, in really anything, it's never going to be perfect. The methods described in this book here can increase engagement, but it doesn't mean that to be a successful teacher you have to have 100% engagement all the time. We do the best that we can, and he's not unrealistic in that sense, which I also really appreciate. Another takeaway that I had from reading this book was how he talked about to really think about the order that you do things in your class. Certain activities you do build more momentum and excitement, and other activities kind of take that away. So to think a little bit more strategically about the order of something. For example, let's say that you did a really powerful activity in your class, whether it was a powerful video clip or a story that you told, something that sparked interest and the students are very engaged. And then you say, okay, take out a piece of paper, we're going to be, responding to this, whatever it is. The act of taking out the piece of paper at that time is going to distract them and remove them from that moment that you had with them, and they're going to have a tougher time getting back into it. A better approach would be, say, to first have them get out that piece of paper and then start the activity. So as soon as that activity is done, you still have their attention, you still have the engagement, then you move into whatever the task is. That was really beneficial to me, and especially thinking from like the social studies perspective, I could see that being really important, and it keeps them in that moment, keeps them very engaged there. He also asks two key questions that are pretty difficult to ask yourself, but at the same time, I think it really helps capture what we're looking for. His first question, would your students show up to your class even if they didn't have to? That's a tricky one. Of course, I'm sure in many cases attendance would be down. There's a lot of different activities that maybe students would rather be doing than going to school, but could things that are happening in your class be exciting enough that the kids would show up even if they didn't have to, or even if, they would show up on the weekend if they could? The second question he brought up is, do you have any lessons you could sell tickets for if someone actually had to pay their way to be there? Now, again, as me talking about this, I'm not saying that yes, every day my students would show up, I'd be able to sell tickets. I'm not saying that. For me, this is very much a great motivator and something I want to work on. But I definitely found those two questions to be very interesting. And while we don't have to have 100% of the days be like that, if there are more of those days mixed in, then that's probably really positive. Now, how does one do that? How does one create an environment where they would hypothetically be able to sell tickets for their lesson, or the kids would show up even if they weren't required? To help answer that, Dave Burgess has many great hooks in this book here and gives you specific ideas for each one. I won't go through all the hooks today, but I'll share quite a few of them and talk through maybe ideas that you could think about implementing in your own classroom. First up, we have the kinesthetic hook. How can we incorporate movement into the lesson? Could we have someone act something out, roll or catch something? Could this lesson go from seated to a walking around activity or a station activity? He also described the art or music hook. How can we incorporate different visuals or audio as part of a lesson to help stimulate students' creativity? If learning vocabulary, could the word actually be drawn into that particular vocabulary word, like an illustration of it? Are there songs that relate to the activity or the lesson that you want to do? Maybe there's also the drama hook. Could students impersonate different historical figures in a panel or discussion? Could students write scripts and create videos? He talks about other hooks related to other types of crafts, real-world applications, student hobbies, student-centered opportunities, in addition to many others. A couple more specific ones I'll go into. Interior design hook. How can you set up your space in a way that it kind of transforms the classroom or really brings a certain lesson to life? The board message hook. What can you write on the board before students come into your classroom to really spark that interest or intrigue in your lesson? The costume hook. Can you wear a specific costume to really excite your students or relate to the topic that you're teaching them? The mystery box hook. Can you bring in specific objects but leave an element of mystery, such as not tell them what objects are used for, or maybe put an object inside a box or a bag and they have to figure out what is inside the box or the bag, etc. Those are just some of the great examples of the different hooks that are mentioned here, and really creative ways that you can bring new life to your lessons and really increase that student engagement. So I definitely think it's worthwhile to check out, whether you are checking out from your local library or buying it wherever. I will put a link below if you want to purchase it, like on Amazon or something, if you want to check it out there. As I mentioned, I am going to be giving away this copy. I took all my notes on a Google Doc, so I am good, and I would love to pass this on to another teacher. So if you are interested in reading this book and you'd like to participate, as long as you are a teacher in the United States, please leave me a comment below letting me know about which one of these different hooks I talked about you might be interested in using in your own classroom this year, or you think might be a good fit for you, or any other related idea that sparked your creativity after listening to this video. So that being said, if you'd like to check out any past videos, you can do so over here, or you can subscribe to the channel up here. We'll see you guys next time. Bye.